Let's start it?
Yeah.
Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Mahama. I am very happy to have you guys here this afternoon on how to maximize productivity or how to get things done. Actually, this name, how to get things done, is a system for managing your time, and it comes from David Allen. So David Allen is the author, and it says getting things done, right? Do you have this laptop?
I don't.
He can use his phone.
Is that good enough?
Yeah, the phone would work. Some of my students have used their phone in the past. Yeah, it's okay. And I actually invite you to join in because this is about time management.
Oh, sure.
Do you mind?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sure.
Let me grab a t-shirt and then I'll be back.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, maybe.
If needed, I'll go back and grab the
No, I
laptop.
think you'll be okay with the laptop.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when she comes, I'll have her print one more of these exercises.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so getting things done, if you're interested in that system, it's a system that has been tried for the last 25 years around the world on how to manage really stressful work situations. And this specific one is for teens, right? So it's been adapted for teens, but it's been in the, and it's not very old, but it's been in the works for adults for a long time now. So basically, there's so many things that we have to do on a day-to-day basis, and there's not enough time to get all of it done. So how do you get to a point where what you do is the most important thing that you do, and that at the end of the day you feel like you've done the most important things? So one thing that you have to, that you will learn differently is that it is not the thing that is most important that you would always do first. So let me give you an example. The most important thing for you to do today is to clean your apartment because your parents are upset with you, right? But you find yourself at the grocery store having to do something for someone else. In that moment, it doesn't matter that the most important thing you have to do is to clean your apartment, because in the grocery store, you have no way of cleaning the apartment. So in this system of getting things done, there's something called context. So context is, where do I find myself, right? And what can I do in the place I find myself? So context is more important than priority. So if I'm in the grocery store and one of the things I need to buy is coffee for the house, I don't go back home and clean my apartment and come back and get coffee, do I? Because that's where I am, then I get coffee. So in that case, context trumps priority, right? We know your priority is to clean your room, but you're already not in the house. Let me just give you an example. You have 3 things to do. One of them takes you 4 hours, the other one takes you 30 minutes. You only have 45 minutes. But the one that takes you 4 hours is the most important thing to do, so which one would you do? You do the one that takes you 30 minutes, right? So the time available is also an important concept in the things that you do. Okay, then let's take one more example, because people always think you do the most important thing. Let's say the most important thing today for me to do is to do my 5-hour chemistry homework, and some homeworks are that long. But I am really tired right now, and the only thing I can really do right now is to go and maybe do my laundry, right? It will take me about 30 minutes to do. Again, there's no point, because you don't have the energy to do it, to start your chemistry homework when your mind is not working right. So there are other things that, so in developing a time management system, you want to take a few more things into consideration beyond priority. One of them is, what is the context? Thank you so much. I actually love that you're helping us so much. I want you to give us one more copy for
Yeah, I print extra.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Yeah, this would be really cool so that everyone can actually do this.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, I'll tell you a little bit more about myself first. General principles of being productive, right? Context is important. Context is, where do you find yourself and what can you do where you find yourself? Okay? Number 2 is energy. It's not in terms of order of priority, but energy. If I'm a morning person, it makes sense for me to do the most important tasks I have in the morning instead of in the evening. One of my favorite sayings is by Mark Twain, and he said, if you have to eat a frog, the best time to eat it is first thing in the morning, so that for the rest of your day, you have better things to look forward to. But if you keep the frog to eat in the evening, the whole day you're going to be worried about the frog and you won't get anything done, right? So here's the concept of energy. Do the most important things when you have the most energy. So if I'm a morning person and I have a difficult thing to do, that's the first thing I will do. If I'm an evening person and it's not time sensitive, I'll do it in the evening. So the third thing that this system talks about is time available. If I only have 30 minutes to do something, I'm not going to do my 5-hour homework. I'll look for something that's 30 minutes. Then, then finally is the thing we talk about, what are the priorities, right? Normal time management only talks about what is the priority, and it's still important, but it depends on what the context is. Do what you can do where you find yourself, right? Review what times of the day you have the most energy. Why does it keep doing that? Okay, sorry. Look at the time available that you have, and also look at what the priority is. So when you take all these things into consideration, you can come up with something that is possible for you to do. Okay. Now, in the next slide, I want to see two things. It will take you about 10 minutes to do these two exercises. They are both online on your phone. One of them is going to tell us what your procrastination profile is. How much of a procrastinator are you, right? And the second one is going to tell you how do you go about getting things done from a time management perspective. Now, you don't have to tell me what your score is. Just look for yourself, right? And then after we do that exercise, I'll find out from you, how do you currently manage the stressful things in your life? And then we'll see what the system has to offer. I would like it to be an interactive session so we all know what we're doing. So look at this is, I guess you do the first one first. It's https://www.guidedtrack.com. Do you know what the Wi-Fi password is for you? Yeah, it's the one over there. 98259599408. guidedtrack.com/programs/T59I89G/1. It will ask for your name and just a few basic things, and then you can go ahead and do it. And when you're done with that, that should take maybe 5 or 6 minutes. This will take about 2 minutes. This is T59I89G/run. Did you get it? Yeah, that's it. Okay, good. Yeah, 89G, yes. Sam, were you able to get it?
Yeah.
Okay. And I didn't catch your name, please.
Vivian.
Vivian, okay. Vivian. I'll ask again until I remember. So Sam, Vivian, and then say your name again.
Edward.
Edward. And what's his name? Tiger, yes. I woke up up early to go to church, so my mind is still trying to get active.
Programs. I missed the S.
Do you have everything now? I'm just going to take this off for a second. Have you done both of them already?
I did one.
Okay, so let you see what the other one looks like. You present a view. Okay, what is it? Huh? Okay. Hold on. Let's make sure I go back. Okay, so the second one is gettingthingsdone.com, gettingthingsdone.com/gtd/kill. I've taken both of these, so I was surprised about the test results that I got. I thought I was doing well until I got my scores, and I was like, oh, I think maybe I need to do better. This is a much shorter exercise, the second one. There's not too many questions. Has everybody finished the first one?
No.
How many questions?
The first one is about 30-something questions.
30. Oh, I only got 20.
No, keep going, keep going. It's good to see what it says.
Oh,
Yeah, finish the first one before the
really?
second one. You didn't finish?
Already
Okay.
came out.
Does it let you go back or not? The first one.
Let me see.
Hopefully you don't have to restart. You can do it at home. You don't have to do it. If you exited, then just do the second one.
Oh yeah, I can continue.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you finish it, it will give you information similar to the second one. The second one is more specific to time management. The first one is specific to procrastination. And yeah, two sides of the same coin, actually. Sam, are you doing the second one?
Yeah, the second.
Okay. And have you finished that one? Yeah, so read whatever it tells you at the end. It classifies you in different things, and that's mostly for information. Tiger, were you surprised about the first one?
Not really.
No?
I already knew some stuff about it.
Okay. Okay. How about the second one? Oh, yeah.
The second one's a little bit surprising.
Yeah. And my professor in grad school would always say all models are wrong, but some are useful. So this is just a model. This is not perfection, right? It's just a way of seeing the world. So you don't judge yourself positively or negatively. It's just a way to start the discussion, right? Especially if you agree with what the model says. So I don't read too much into that. Okay. Okay. So if you finish any one of them, we can continue. Maybe are you done with it?
I'm done.
Okay, good. I want to talk about stuff. Okay? I want to talk about stuff. But before I talk about stuff, I want to do a quick debrief, starting from you, Sam. What was surprising about the two assessments that you just took?
So the first one is okay, I guess not that surprising. I'm not done with the second one.
Yeah, let's forget that. You can do the second one at home. The most important one is the first one. And Tiger, what surprised you about the first one?
The first one, the number was a little bit higher than I thought it would be.
Okay, it's not perfect. So you could be right and it could be wrong, or maybe it's seeing something that you don't see, right? So, Vivian, what do you say?
The opposite. I thought this was lower than I expected.
Okay. How about you, Ed?
Nothing really surprised me.
Okay, so you're always like 100% on time. You don't procrastinate at all.
I don't know. I wasn't surprised by the score.
Okay. So, by the way, 95% of people are known to procrastinate. So if you do, welcome to the club. Everybody procrastinates, right? But in the 1970s, only 4% of people said that they were chronic procrastinators. But now, about 25% of people say they chronically procrastinate. So it's getting worse because instead of doing your work, you have YouTube memes that you could watch. So definitely, there are things that could throw you off that they didn't have before, right? Okay, so I want to talk about stuff. Now, the concept of stuff here is anything that happens in your daily life, right? So there's family stuff that's going on. There's school you have to do, there's tests. Maybe your parents are divorced, you have health issues, bullying, social media. All of these things are in your head, right? Now, what does that got to do with time management? There's a concept in this system of time management called open loops. What does it mean? An open loop is anything that is on your mind that you have not put on a calendar, that you have no plan to fix. So the idea is simple. If I have something in my mind and I have no plan to deal with it, it's going to always be in the background stealing my energy, right? And it's going to be making me tired, but I don't even know what it is. So it is known that the mind has no capacity to deal with a lot of uncertainty. And anything that is not scheduled or has no plan is seen to be uncertain. So that homework that you haven't done and you have forgotten that you need to schedule it, it's robbing you of your energy, right? So you're going to feel overwhelmed and you don't know why. But surprisingly, the moment you get it down on some system, a calendar or some paper, then it relieves your mind of that open loop. It's called this, I think it's the Zeigarnik effect. That says any open loop in your mind affects your performance. So in this system, we're going to encourage you to write down everything that you are supposed to do every day. Put it on a paper or on some computer screen. And also, don't just write it down, have a plan for it. Like, when is it going to be done, right? And then you can go back and change the plan. Okay, so this, I guess, stuff. How does that impact the way you think? So let's look a little bit about the science of it. This is the triune brain, means there's 3 parts. The neocortex, which is where you make your long-term planning and your executive decisions. The limbic system is your emotional center. It contains the hippocampus and the amygdala. And the reptilian complex is the part of your brain that works with everything automatic in your life. Like right now, digestion is taking place, but how much energy are we putting into it? No one even knows that digestion is taking place, and we don't care. Because all of it is being run automatically. So most of the automatic systems in your life are run by the reptilian complex. We don't have to worry about it. And this is your emotional center, this is your neocortex. Why is this important? If the things that your logical mind wants to do are not in the same direction as the things that your emotional system wants to do, you are not going to do it. That's the biggest cause of procrastination. So for example, I know that I have a race to run next week. I don't expect to do well in the race. So thoughts about the race brings me pain, right? What do you think I would do? Do you think I will put in my best effort to train for it? If I already decided I'm not going to do well, I'm not going to really train for it. Like, I'll wait till the end to do it, right? Or if I feel like the discussion I'm going to have with my parents is not going to be a pleasant discussion, I'll keep moving it forward and forward and forward, right? And this is the case where logically you know that you have to do something, but your limbic system knows it is not something that's fun and it's going to bring you pain, so you will keep pushing it forward. So one of the reasons why time management is hard is that you don't know if what you're going to do brings you pleasure, or you know for a fact that it doesn't bring you pleasure. Because the limbic system works on 2 things. Does it bring me pleasure, or does it bring me what? Pain. And you stay away from the things that bring you pain, and you move towards the things that bring you pleasure. So I have work to do, I have a presentation to put together, and I'm not doing it, but I'm playing video games. Because in the moment, video games is more fun, and the presentation is not fun. But once I realize that, oh, the presentation is tomorrow, then the consequence of not preparing for the presentation is now too high. So I have to do that, and then I may not even play video games anymore, right? So we have 2 friends. One of them is called Miggy. Miggy is the monkey, the amygdala monkey. He wants everything now. He wants the cake today, he wants the candy, he wants the donut. Anything that happens right away. Your impulsive tendencies are controlled by Miggy. Miggy is very fast. I don't understand why this thing does that. So Miggy is very fast, and by the time you get to think about something, Miggy has already acted to make you do it, and then you are regretting. I'm on diet, but look at all this cake that I'm eating, right? This is where the impulsive reaction comes in. But before you think Miggy is bad, be careful, because when there's danger, Miggy is the one who is able to alert you to the danger, because your prefrontal cortex is slow. So his twin brother is called Cortland, who is your prefrontal cortex. Cortland is wise, but he's also slow, right? It takes him time to think and respond to things. So it's the interplay between Miggy and Cortland that determines how you act and whether you do the things you have to do or you don't do them at all. So if Miggy wants you to do the work, you will do it, because Miggy really is the boss. And sometimes Cortland wins and forces you to do something, but you get tired and your willpower goes down. So the brain can help you to do your work, or it can work against you, but you have to be conscious of what is the brain doing to you. There are tricks that you can use to make Miggy and Cortland get along. Okay? Alright, so any questions up to this point of the brain science of this thing? So this is just how the brain tends to work, and it impacts a lot procrastination and how you get things done. Okay? Alright, so having said that, I want us to transition quickly to, I've never seen this thing do that before, to the system that we're about to learn. The system is called Getting Things Done. It has 5 steps. So the thing that we call stuff at the beginning, everything that is in your head, right? The system says, and I'll explain each of them one by one. Capture it. It means record it. Write it down in some journal, right? Or type it somewhere in Google Docs. So write everything down that's on your mind. It's actually, there's a term for it. It's called mind sweep. You know how I said at the beginning that our minds don't like open loops, things that are not complete? So the first thing you do is anything that's on your mind, if it's worrying you, if it's work you haven't done from the past week or today, you have to do next week, write it down somewhere. It's good to have a book for that. So we'll do this exercise called mind sweep, and that is to capture it. Okay? And the next thing that the system has is, okay, now that I've written 200 things down, let me look at them to clarify. Clarify means, which of them can I do now? Which of them can I delay and do what later? In fact, we are going to do an exercise in this session where you take a project that you have to do, and then you use the system to break down the project into its components. It's going to be a fun exercise. Okay? Then once you determine what actions that need to be done, you organize them into something that is coherent, something that you can do. Okay? You can put it in a system like a calendar that works. And of course, this reflect just means, is your plan doable? Is it achievable? So that you think through what you've put together. And then finally you go ahead and do it. Now, on paper it looks really simple. But the most important part is this capture part. Remember the concept of open loops? I don't know what this is. The concept of open loops is the thing that causes a lot of us to procrastinate and feel overwhelmed. So capture is by far the most important thing. And clarify is about making sense of what you have to do. So we're going to do a capture and clarify exercise next. You can use it on any book that you have. I will explain to you what, this thing is not very clear, I will explain to you what it is. You may even have a, okay, this is this thing here. Yeah, that's that. I can tell you what those things are. It's not very clear. So, the exercise is called mind sweep. Okay? It says here, things I'm worried about. But just look at it to be things that you have to do. So what I encourage you to do now is to write down your stuff, the things in your head right now. What are things that you have to do in the past week that you haven't done yet? What are things that you have to do today? What are things that you have to do the rest of the summer? Write as many of them that you can remember down. So you're going to write them on the left side of the sheet. So write down everything on your mind that you have to do, including things you're worried about. Okay? So that's the mind sheet. Everything, absolutely everything you have to do. So what we're doing is capturing stuff, right? Everything. You're downloading things from your mind onto some system. The person that you have to call, that you haven't called for a while, write it down. The person that you're waiting to give you information back, you want to write it down. The summer camp that you have coming up, you want to write it down as well. And even promises that you've made to people. You've promised to do things for people, but you haven't done them yet. You want to write that down as well. Basically, anything that you don't have currently in your calendar, you want to write it down, including things that you may never even put in a calendar. So for example, one day I want to visit Italy. I don't know when yet. I still want to write it down. We're going to have a file created in this homework that we call someday. So someday is a file where you put everything that you want to do but don't have a specific time for it in that file. Like maybe you want to run a marathon someday, right? So you put it down in the list, because we'll put everything in a different box. And I'll show you what the boxes are in a minute. So my recommendation is that you take another 5 minutes to write up to more than 30 things and up to 50 things. It's anything in your head. I know you haven't done this before. The first time I did it, I couldn't write many things, right? But over time I realized, oh, I need to email somebody back, I forgot. Right? I need to call somebody, I forgot. My coach needs something from me, I forgot. I have a project at work that is overdue, right? Something, I need to put my apartment in order. Anything that's in your head that even doesn't sound important, as long as it's something that you end up doing someday, you write it down. And you can do this at home as well. So let's not worry about if we don't have so many things now, because at home you can do it as well. Okay? So yeah, I'll give you a few more minutes to write stuff down, and I'll show you how the model is going to work. Okay, so one more minute, and then we'll use the model to go through how to organize all the information that you wrote down. Alright, so let's look at the model here. I know you don't see it, but so I'll explain it to you what it is. It's not a very clear diagram. So imagine that this is some whole process that everything you've written down has to go through. The first thing is the stuff that you just wrote down. That's your mind sweep. So you put it in some inbox. The clarification step is this. What is it? So look at your list and ask yourself, what is it like? What does it mean to you, the thing you just wrote down? And then ask yourself, can I do anything about it? The question is it actionable? Because some things you can't do anything about them now, right? So the question is, yes or no? So look through the same list that you have and put yes or no attached to whether it's actionable or not. So whatever it is that you've written, can you do anything about it? Does it have to wait? Do you have to store it somewhere for the future? Okay. Like, so each item, is it actionable? No, yes. You know? So one thing that I could do is, let's say I say that my friend Tom doesn't like me. Okay? That's something that I'm worried about. Is it actionable? No. What can I do about it? He doesn't like me, he doesn't like me. I don't even know why he doesn't like me. But that's an example of this. No. Okay? So you see these buckets here? This says trash it. If you can't do anything about it, delete or trash it. That's one option. The other option is incubate. That means put it in a folder that you may call someday, something you will do when you know more information. Maybe you don't have enough information. And now I don't want to say reference. So for example, if you're at home and you get your credit card statements, right? Maybe it's an important statement, you don't want to trash it, so what do you do with it? You create a reference folder for it. So it's not actionable in the sense that you don't have to do anything specifically, but you want to be able to refer to it someday, right? So this is a reference. So if something is not actionable, trash it, like in my example of Tom doesn't like me, I can't do anything about it, okay? Or if it's something that needs more thinking, it's called incubate. So put it somewhere that you can think about more in the future. And references, you know what, this is an important piece of information, but nothing has to happen with it now. Okay? So that's the first part. Then, that was the no. Let's come to yes. This is the important part of yes. Can you do something about it? Yes. The question is, what is the next thing that you can do about it? Like, what's the next action? So, I need to go play soccer with my friends this afternoon. Is that an actionable item? Yes. The question is saying, what is the next action? It's not saying play the soccer game now. What is the next action? The next action may be just call my friends, right? The concept of the next action is pick just one small aspect of what you need to do and write it down. This is the next thing I need to do. Because usually, if a project is too big, you don't want it to start. But you need to pick the first thing you need to do and write it down. Then your mind would figure out what to do next, right? And that's one of the cures of procrastination. Write down the next thing that needs to. So the things that you wrote down, if you decided it's actionable, go through your list and write down what the next action is for everything that you wrote down. Okay. So I hope by now you've deleted the things that you can't do anything about. You've marked some of them as incubate, think about later. And if you have some reference items, you've put reference to them. Then let's come to your next actions. Like for each thing that's actionable, what is the next action that you should take? So what is the next? It could be a call that you need to make. It could be, if it's a paper you're writing, outline. It could be, the next action is do the outline for my paper. If it's a camp that you're going to, the next action is make sure you have collected the clothes that you need to take for the camp, or make travel arrangements, or something, right? So, for each item, what is the next action? If it's a phone call you need to make, write down what that phone call has to be. So, take another 5 minutes to just write down, if you have a long list, what is the next action for everything that has to be done. In fact, if you want, you can use this thing, this sheet, okay? So this sheet, what it does is that you have your list here. You can write what is the next action in the second column. So either this or this. This is more clean because on the second page, you're going to see, so what's on your list, right? Like maybe call mom or meet with mom. And what's the next action you could do? Call sister because you are going to go with your sister to meet mom. We'll talk about the third column later, okay? So that same list that you have, you can put it on the left-hand side here. I think that's cleaner. Sam, you could also do it in Google Docs. Actually, I prefer
I'm just typing it up.
Yeah, it's so much easier, so you don't have to do it twice, right? I found that that's actually been very helpful for me to think about things like that.
Yeah.
Because once I know the next step and I do it, then I want to do the next step.
Right.
So
Yeah.
everything in small pieces, right?
Yeah.
That's probably how you write your software programs.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're trying to get the young people to get used to doing small steps. Because if all you think about is the whole big project, you won't do it.
Right.
Or you would delay it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and of course you can always continue this at home as well. The list, just the first two columns, you can continue that at home. So what I wanted you to do at the end of this today is, I would like everyone to come up with some type of calendar for all the things you have to do in the next week or two. So all these lists, you put them in a place when you have to do them. And also, when you put them in your calendar, you have to try and put them together by context. So the things that you have to do at home, mark home attached to them. So that when you're at home, you know, oh, I have 6 things to do. 3 of them are at home. Let me do them whilst I'm home, right? And I have 2 things to do. 2 of them, one of them is at the office. Let me do that there. Sometimes you do something and like, oh, then I have to go back home and do something, or go to school and do something. So always have context attached to it. And if possible, also energy. Which things are going to take a lot of time? So don't just schedule things anyhow. The most difficult things, put them when you know you are most energetic. I am a morning person, so anything that is going to take my time, I want to do it in the morning. Alright, so just putting it on your calendar is not enough. Determine which will take you the most effort and put it when you have the most energy, and do it that way as well, right? And as for time, it's difficult to tell because things take longer than you expect them to take. Okay, so let's keep going. The next thing is, this you can't see that, so I have a better slide for that. It's a goal setting exercise. Here's why I put this exercise in here. The biggest contributor to procrastination is not having clearly defined goals. Like if you know what you're doing, you're more than likely to do it, right? So somebody once said something, it's like, if you don't know where you're going, how will you know you've reached there when you get there, right? So I want us to think about it this way. We are in the summer now. What would you like to accomplish by the end of the summer? Like schoolwork, family, health, any projects or work you have, and something else that you decide that you want to do. Okay. Then, what would you like to do by the end of the year? So summer and fall. Okay. Then, what would you like to do in 1 year and in what? 5 years? I know it's hard for you guys because you're going to school and you don't necessarily know, but you can dream something up, right? So everything here is about school. So this goes through your college, I would imagine, right? And if you are maybe a sophomore in high school, maybe even you graduate and you can get a job. So this is that. And family would be, maybe I want to get closer to my parents or my siblings, right? Health could be, maybe I want to eat better, I want to exercise, whatever it might be. Projects could be maybe part of the computer science club or robotics group. I have something to do there. And you can define this. So this is a 10-minute exercise, and I suggest that you do a table. I don't have it in the thing. Where you put it by these categories. And you can add more columns if you have specific things that you want to do. right? So by the end of the summer, what would you like to do about school? What would you like to do about family? What would you like to do about health? And such other things. Make sure that it is something that is challenging for you. If it's too easy, you wouldn't want to do it. And if it's too hard, you wouldn't want to do it. So it's something that it should be achievable, number one, right? And it should be something that you look forward to doing as well. Make them specific, right? That's why we put the time attached to it. So your parents are going to check with you if you actually did them or not. So my recommendation is that the goals that you have, share them with your family and with your friends. Because once you tell somebody you would do something, you would do it, right? But if you only hide it with yourself, you will not even do it because no one is checking. So this is something I suggest that after you write it down, check with your son and sample you as well what they've written. This is not a punishment. The idea is it's not a punishment. The idea
is just going to write the easy thing.
No, he looks like a serious kid. No, write it. By the way, even if you don't achieve it, you will work towards something, right? They say shoot for the moon, shoot for the stars. If you miss the stars, you might hit the moon, right? It's better than not shooting for anything. And you know yourself, so don't, especially since your parents are here. In project management, we have something called sandbagging. Like, I always tell my boss I'll finish the thing in 5 days and I'll finish it in 2 days, and the boss is like, yes, well done. So you could do that as well. That's another thing that you can do. But don't tell them you're doing that. Yeah.
I checked his name is not on the list. Siddharth Singh, he said that he was going to mop, but I checked his name, it's not on the list. I don't know, that's what he told me. He was the A1 team, but when I checked the list of iron, yeah, but yeah, I think it's very hard. Yeah, I didn't see him. Yeah, he took demo. Yeah, his name is the list of demo for but I know that other girls that with that at that. So the girls have a lower cutoff. That's all.
Also think about why do you want to do the thing that you say you want to do. Because if you have a good reason for it, you're more likely to do it, right? If it's something that's intrinsic, it comes from within you, you're more likely to do it. Don't write goals to please your parents, please. Write it for yourself. Okay? Write it for yourself. And how are you doing in that? You feel like you have stuff you want to do? Have you written anything that your parents don't know about? Like, they don't have to know everything. You know, you can share only the things you want to share with them. Like, in a few minutes, I'll have you talk with your son and just check with them what their goals are. And to make it more interesting, also share your goals with them. I think they'll be motivated by knowing that you also have things to do, so that when you are slacking off, they can also hold you accountable, right? It works both ways.
What that's not the main creator taking. But where will you take it? Where will you take it? So next week what class can or you can jump
Alright, so 2 more minutes. and then I'm going to give you a few minutes to discuss as a family together. What is it that you are looking to do? And when you get home, you can continue that discussion and say, okay, I want to do this, but I need some help here. Right? One of my goals by the end of the summer is to learn how to swim. I don't know how to swim.
Really?
Yeah, I never learned how to swim.
How are you going to do it?
I'm going to learn at the YMCA.
Oh, they have like instructor.
Yeah, they have swimming pools. I tried before, but I didn't practice, so I forgot again. 3 years ago, I paid for the classes, and I learned a little bit. This summer, I want to learn how to swim.
Oh, so you learned some technique.
I learned a little bit, yeah. Because back in Ghana, most of my friends, they didn't know how to swim. And me neither, so still. And then when I lived in Florida, there was water, but I was afraid to go in the water. Yeah. Okay, so it's discussion time. So I want you to partner up and just share what your goals are and discuss how you think you're going to accomplish them. Just five minutes in total, right? So maybe you want to move to that. Yeah. Okay, I mean that's really good. There's an extra chair here.
Okay, good. Sleep more is what is on the goal.
And you can add stuff to it as well, right? It doesn't just, if you find something more interesting, you can add to it. Now, so after you go through the goals and you're happy with them, you have to write the next step for each goal as well. Okay. And Sam, you're going to share your goals with him as well, right?
Yes.
It has to work both ways. Vivian, it works both ways. So he shares his goals with you and you share your goals with him as well. Okay.
Yeah. Is that right? Probably this one as well.
That one.
Well, this is my walk stuff that I have to show.
但是帮你这里的就比较麻烦，我可能要给你去课。现在就是做起来，但是这一块是实习方面的，是好像不要我去做，所以你自己看你自己对，我要方面。
So take 5 more minutes so we can go to the next thing. Finish up what you're doing, but remember that each goal you want to put the next step. It can be a simple step, call somebody, right? Buy something, organize my closet, but have one step for each major goal you have. It has to be the simplest step you could take.
Start off again. First one.
对啊。你可以放到对啊，这个是 PP， 这个是33。那下一个是下一个是。
Okay, so let's come back to our seats. Thank you for doing this, and I really want to acknowledge you parents for also sharing your goals with your children. It's a hard thing to do because usually this doesn't work like that. typically do not combine parents with their kids in these exercises. I thought I'll try that today and just see how it works. Because usually when I'm with the teenagers by themselves, they are more open. When their parents are as open. And that's okay, I get that. So pardon me if I have put you in a situation where you cannot be 100% expressed. But the advantage is that they see things that you don't see. So my lesson is this. When I was in high school, I used not to understand a lot of the things that my parents wanted me to do. But as I grew older, I was like, oh, they were right. But sometimes parents are very rigid. They're like, no, you could have said it more softly and that would have worked. So, okay. Yeah. Let's look at a few things. You know who Christopher Columbus was, right? The guy who was supposed to have tried to discover India but discovered the Americas instead. His crew faced a lot of challenges. Disease and death on the high seas and lots of problems. Would you say what they were doing was fun? No. But why did they keep doing it? All the people who discovered Asia and Latin America and Africa and America, even though there were things that they had to fight through and a lot of it was uncomfortable, they kept going. Why? What would you say?
They had a goal.
They had more than a goal. A goal is, I want to get to X place.
They had a dream.
They had a purpose. Right? They can be used interchangeably, but the word purpose is bigger than a goal. The purpose is the thing that binds everything together, right? Because a goal can be, I want to write an app to help people do X. That's a goal. But your purpose is more like a service. Why are you writing the app? Maybe you want people to be more, I don't know, more fulfilled, maybe have more fun, right? But it has to be something that's coming from within you. So let's distinguish two things. There is your purpose, right? Which is also your mission. And then there's the vehicle. So your aim may be to help poor people. You can do it in many, many ways. You can help poor people by becoming a philanthropist and giving them money, right? You can help poor people by helping them get jobs. You can help poor people by doing like a soup kitchen and giving them food. All of those things are what? Vehicles. So most jobs are just vehicles. But the question is, what is the one purpose that you have? That's why I brought about Christopher Columbus. He wanted to discover new lands, big new places, right? And if your purpose is big and means something to you, your homework will be nothing. Let's say you know that you want to become a doctor one day and cure cancer, right? But you really hate biology. Like, I don't like biology. That's why I use biology as an example. So, if you know for a fact that biology is one of the things you must take to get to the point where you can be that doctor who cures cancer, you would do it. You'd be like, this thing sucks, I hate it, but I must do it because it's part of my vision, right? So the power of purpose is that it helps you look at everything you're going through today to be not too bad. But if you have no purpose or no underlying mission, anything that happens when your friends are playing video games, Fortnite or World of Warcraft, you go and play 5 hours with them because you don't really know where you're going, right? But you know you are getting somewhere, you want to get into Stanford. That could be, it's not your purpose, but it's some intermediate goal. Why do you want to get into Stanford? Because maybe you want to meet other entrepreneurs to save the world. So, yes, you still play your video games, but you wouldn't play it 6 hours a day, for example. So, the biggest thing you could do for yourself is identify what is the biggest or best purpose you have in your life. Then time management is not even a factor. Because then you will do what you must do, and procrastination is not a factor. So this exercise is called a purpose exercise, right? A purpose is a higher level than a goal. But it's very difficult for young people to discover what their purpose is, so I want to help you do this. Okay. Look, here's a question that I want you to think about. You can write the answer down on your sheet. What do you have the most fun doing? right? It doesn't matter if it's video games. You can write anything. I didn't play video games growing up in Africa. But think in a minute, what do you have the most fun doing? What do you enjoy doing the most, right? This is going to help you answer the question, I feel I am on the planet too, right? Because once you put everything that you're doing in high school and college and put it all under what you think your purpose is, everything is easier to do, right? Because you know where you're going. So one way to know that is, what do you have the most fun doing? Then here's the question. When was the last time you did this? Because I know that sometimes you have so much work, there's no time to do it. Okay? And I like this question. If you had absolute free choice, like your parents are not telling you to do something, your society, your school, your culture, what would you do with your life? Right? Like, I have students, they're really good at programming, but really what they want to do is be a musician. Right? So the question is, I know that sometimes you have to go through that path to get to where you want to get to, right? Because if you finish, say, engineering school and you save some money, you can go and pay someone to teach you music later, so you still have to do it. So if you had absolute free choice, what would you do with your life? That's important to know, right? And who would you help? Because one thing that the research is showing is that for you to have meaning in your life, the thing that you do must help other people. Otherwise, it won't have the same impact. So that's a question to think about. Who would you help? And then I'm going to give you a superpower pill. Imagine that I give you one pill that's a superpower. And that pill will overcome all the fears you have. Like, you know, we all have fears, right? This pill I'm giving you will overcome all the fears. What are 3 things that you will start doing today if all your fear was disappeared? You see what I'm saying? Like, what are the 3 things that you will start doing? And then ask yourself also, what do you think are your biggest strengths? Okay. So mine is communication. I like to talk to people. I also am able to synthesize information from different areas, like psychology, philosophy, engineering. So synthesis. So ask yourself, what are your biggest strengths? And then this final one is, if you had all the money in the world, you don't ever have to worry about anything, what would you do with your free time? Okay. So I want you to take these 6 questions and write quick answers on your notebook for. What do you have the most fun doing, right? And then after you answer these 6 questions, we can help you craft what you feel like you're on the planet to do. Maybe today you don't get the answer, but finally you will figure out the answer as you think about this. So write for yourself the first answer. What do you have the most fun doing? It could be more than one thing. And parents, even for yourself, it's probably helpful to do that, because sometimes when you were younger you had some vision and then life happens and then you forget it, right? So even though I'm young, I have forgotten some things about what I wanted to do as a kid again. So now I'm thinking about that. So what do you have the most fun doing? It could be sports, it could be golf, it could be anything. And when was the last time you did that activity? The importance of the question is just to let you know if you actually are spending time on things you like doing or not. So when was the last time you did this? So what do you have the most fun doing? When was the last time you did this? If you had absolute free choice, what would you do with your life? Absolute free choice, what would you do with your life? And who would you help? And the 4th question is, if I were to give you the superpower pill that overcomes all fears, what are 3 things that you start doing? Okay. So all your fears have disappeared. What are the 3 things that you start doing with your life? And also, the other thing is, what do you think are your biggest strengths? What do you think are your biggest strengths? Now, you don't have to have the answers today. Some of them you would know over time, right? And also, what would you do with all the free time that you could get if you had all the money in the world and you didn't need to do any work or even go to school? What would you do? So take 3 more minutes to answer these questions. You can answer them at home still. And then when you finish, I'll guide you through how you could write your purpose statement.
Working on the temperature shortness. What is the name for the phase change that directly occurs in solid phase? Yes, good job. Alright, bonus energy multiple choice. In a heating heat is plotted against temperature for directed levels. Why is there a straight line on the right when temperature versus equivalent? W, heat goes into the surroundings and is not raised. S, heat goes into vaporization and is not raised. Y, heat goes into melting and is not raised. D, takes a substantial amount of time.
Tiger, my handwriting is a little bit messy. If you don't see anything, let me know as well.
Yeah, I can read it.
Oh, you can? Okay.
My handwriting is worse.
Oops. So there's research that shows that the way you take your time to write is correlated to procrastination. So those who write carelessly procrastinate more, and that's true for me. So I don't know about you though. I thought that was a random fact. How can your writing style have anything to do with procrastination? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But that's what they say. So. But procrastination is not all bad. There's something called productive procrastination, which means that you don't want to do the thing that they've asked you to do, maybe because you know that it's not what you want to do. Right? So you push it into the future. And maybe after a while they say, okay, don't do it. So you are like, yeah, I didn't do it. So not all procrastination is bad. And if you did everything they asked you to do on time, you'll be very bored because you don't have time to have fun. So let's not see procrastination as being bad. Let's just know what our purpose is. Then we can let everything work towards that. I would encourage you, even as you go home, to think about some of these questions. And as you think through them, you know what your values are as well.
Whoa, I did not know that at all.
If you were seniors in college, I would say, look at your strengths and figure out what career paths would work best for you. Because you could be a programmer, but maybe some industries are better for you than others, based on what your interests are. Okay. So, after you've answered this question, I want you to try and craft 5 different statements, starting with, I feel I am on the planet 2. It could be, in my case, I feel like I'm on the planet to bring hope to leaders, period. That's as simple as that. Or I feel like I'm on the planet to make other people see the best in themselves. Whatever it is, something like that. That's a purpose statement. It's not the job you do, it is the service you provide. So the idea of these questions will help you think about something that you can help others with that you have fun doing for yourself. So craft it. I'm not going to look at it, but I want you to write it for yourself. I feel like I am on the planet 2. And I asked for 5 statements because that helps you to have many options, right? Maybe I feel like I'm on the planet to cure cancer. I feel like I'm on the planet to whatever it might be for you. I don't want to put anything. So one thing GTD, this system recommends is you have a folder for purpose. So that every day, even as you refine your purpose, in high school it will be different from in college. 5 years after college it may change. But keep a folder where anything that you write that's new, it could be an online folder, right? It doesn't have to be a hard copy. And you know what it is. So whatever, does everybody have a purpose statement? Like write 5 of them, not just one. Because it's not easy to just get it. It could be variations of the same thing. I feel like I'm on the planet to, right? Do something. X, Y, Z. It could be to teach people stuff, right? To help poor people. To cure diseases. To help make the world a better place. Whatever that might be. And even as you write that, since you guys are in school, I recommend you think about the fact that being in high school and college is a very important path to reaching the purpose that you have. Like if you do well in school, whatever school you go to, whatever course you do doesn't matter. It is a step towards getting to your purpose. I don't care what the purpose is. Because 80% of people 10 years after college don't do the work in the field that they went to college for, right? So college is not something to determine your life, but it gives you the tools to be able to do whatever you want. So let's say you finished Stanford and you worked for Apple for 5 years and you saved some money. You can go and play the music that you wanted to play if that's what you want to do, right? So if you know what your big goal is, the fact that you are doing programming doesn't mean that your goal is died. No. So I started as a chemical engineer. Then I went back to grad school and I did environmental engineering. And then I did it for a while. And then I went back to grad school again and I did public administration. Because it has nothing to do with engineering. But public administration helps me to be able to look at solutions and take them on a bigger scale to help more people. Right? And honestly, I didn't enjoy my engineering school at all. I was like, I don't care about physics and chemistry and all of that. My parents thought I should study engineering because they said if you study engineering you will never lack a job, and that's true. Right? Because when I was in school I wanted to actually be a lawyer. And my dad and my school principal said, you can become a lawyer anytime you want. But, at least in Ghana, you want to study something that anytime you want a job and you need money, you can find a job. So I guess forced myself and I closed my eyes to do it. And after a while, I worked for 10 years and I said, I want to do something else. So I went back to Columbia for public administration, right? So what you're doing now may not be something you enjoy, but it's not an excuse not to do it well, right? So I still did it well. I still was competitive. I wanted to be the best in my class. So I don't really like this, but I want to be the best, so I need to do it. So liking something or disliking something is not an excuse not to do it well. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not every course that you're going to enjoy. Some things you don't enjoy. Like when I was working as a project manager, I had a $150 million project that I was a project manager on. I didn't really enjoy it, but then I realized one thing. It was a water infrastructure project. If I don't do it well, and some of the pipes break, it's not just against my reputation. The people that I care about are getting hurt. So I still do it anyway, right? Until I got to a point where I was like, okay, now I want to do leadership coaching. I want to work with young people. I've always wanted to do that. But if I hadn't had my job to save money, I would not have the freedom to do it. Because honestly, that engineering job pays a lot more than doing coaching and training people to do things, at least at the beginning. So my encouragement to young people is, not everything is fun, but have the pride to do the best you can in the things you do. Is that okay? So yeah, the purpose is not an excuse not to work hard. You could still become a musician. Okay, so you have that. Keep working on it even at home. This is where we are going to spend most of our time today. As a project manager, I love this kind of thing. You are going to pick one of your goals, I call it a project, right? And you're going to develop all of these things about that project. So here's the thing. So your goal could be, this summer, I want to build a robot. I don't know what for, but for example, right? What is the purpose of the robot you want to build? Maybe your robotic society is looking to build it, and it's a solar-powered something, right? The standards here, this is more for adults. I mean, what are the engineering standards? So you don't have to worry about standards, right? Then here's the vision. The vision is really, it's different from the purpose. The purpose is the main activity it serves. The vision is more like, I want the robot, let's use a solar robot, to be able to go for 6 hours before it is recharged, for example, right? And every project is different. This is the main part of the project. This brainstorm, come up with different steps or ideas about this project, right? And then after you do all of that, organize it by scheduling when you would do the activities in the project. So organize your schedule, right? If you don't put the time to it, you may never get to do it. And after you do that, write down the next thing that you want to do of all the steps that you've listed. So at the beginning we did a mind sweep, and then we did a goals exercise, right? So pick something that requires some time to do. I don't know what you would pick, but anything. Like if I were to pick something, I'll pick, I'm going to run a marathon in December. Okay. So my project name is Marathon. What's the purpose of my marathon running? I want to increase my endurance. What is my vision? I intend to complete the marathon in maybe 3 hours or something, right? That's really what is driving me. Now, brainstorm here would be run 25 miles a week. In fact, that's what I'm doing. This month I'm doing a 100-mile challenge with a friend. I have 8 more days to run 30 miles. I've done 70 already. But I break it down into, okay, run 25 miles a week, right? Stretch after each of my runs. Eat healthy, right? Brainstorm all the ideas. Have variety in my training schedule because I get bored running the same route every day. All of that. So that's my brainstorm for the marathon example. The organize is, okay, let me schedule this. I'm going to run every morning before my meditation exercise at say 8 a.m. Right? Since I work for myself, I have my own schedule. Or on those days that I can't, I'll run in the evening. Then what's my next action? My shoes have worn out, so I need to go buy new running shoes. So pick one thing, something that probably needs some time to be done. You can call any of your goals a project. So pick it now, and I would want you to fill this out. Brainstorm is all the things that you think need to happen, all the ideas, including any specific things that need to be done, right? Just brainstorm with yourself, and then put some time attached to it here. And then transfer the time you attach to it into a calendar. Because that is what we are going to actually put it in a calendar, right? And then you need to highlight the next best action you should take, right? So that's a 20-minute exercise. And this is really important. I want you to look at how you actually take things that you want to do, even if they're hard, and how you put them into a system where you finally have it into some type of scheduled plan. So I don't know what you want to pick, but pick something. I think you should do it individually, and later on you can kind of share. Maybe you can help them to figure out how to do it. Because I mean, you guys have been doing big projects. I don't know if they're used to that kind of stuff. I can help you. Do you know what kind of project you want to pick?
Not yet.
Okay, maybe you want to talk to your dad about it. Alright? Tiger, do you know what project you want to pick?
Something like
Okay, alright. So go through. I think you should try, see if you can help him to pick a project. And then you can help him work through the model. There are many models, but this is just one of many models. It's a useful exercise to be able to do to plan things out. Okay? Yeah. And remember, the goal is to put everything in your calendar at the end of the exercise. Because you want to schedule it, otherwise you may not do it. So it's not very clear. This is purpose, vision, brainstorm, it's all this. Organize, put some times attached to it, and then move those times into your calendar, right? And then decide firmly on your next best action to take. And I can help you with this if there's any question that you have. So it takes 7 more minutes to finish it, and then we'll do a recap where I explain to you how to do what we call a weekly review, how to organize your time on a weekly basis. But finish this and then we can go to that. Any questions on any part of the model? Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Does everybody have this sheet here? They didn't print it for you? I'm not sure. Yeah, that one. But man, it's so much better in color. Can I email it to you guys? I can email it to you guys in color, okay? That's so much better than that. Okay, so here's the thing. This system of getting things done called GTD requires that every week you have what they call a weekly review. And I know that when you are in school, it's not always easy to be in control of your time. It's one of the key pillars of it. If you do your weekly review well, you will be less overwhelmed during the week. Okay. So the concept of the weekly review is this. Collect all the loose papers and all the stuff that are clogging your workspace. Okay. Why is that important? A disorganized desk is the sign of a disorganized mind, right? And so when you collect them, you would figure out things that are outstanding that you haven't done. Okay. So organize your workspace. That's always important. So that's what it says here. Collect loose papers and materials. I call it organize your workspace. That's an important thing to do. Then it says empty your head. So that means that you pick a day during the weekend, preferably. Empty your head. This is the exercise we did called the what? Mind sweep. So get into the habit. It's actually probably better electronically and do all of that. Empty everything in your head. So this thing, this organize your workspace, empty your head, it's called get into zero inbox. Like there's nothing that is outstanding. All the open loops are closed, right? Then the next thing is, it says get current. look at your past week's calendar and see, are there things that you were supposed to do that you did not do? Because sometimes you have a to-do list but you didn't do all of it, right? Once you get current, the next thing is to do, this is 5, right? 4. You review your upcoming calendar. Review upcoming calendar. That means that along the previous week, you were already scheduling things that you knew you were going to do the next week. Okay, that's the only way you can do that. Or at this point, you want to, so develop your calendar on the weekend. Sunday or Monday makes sense to do this, or Saturday, right? So get current, make sure that everything in your last week's calendar that was not done, you put it in your new calendar, right? So it's very reliant on you recording everything. Is that okay? And then you may not need to know this, but if you are a full-time worker, this is important. It says, review your waiting list. Sometimes you've done your part, but you're expecting someone to bring something to you. If you don't keep track of the things that you expect to get from people, you could get blindsided. It's not so much a case in high school, but it could be. If you're working on a project with friends, that you've done your part and they need to bring something to you and you haven't done that yet, okay? And then, we didn't talk too much about checklists today, but this is really important. Review your checklist. There's a book called The Checklist Manifesto by Atul Gawande, a medical doctor. And in the book, they talk about how simple checklists are able to save lives in surgeries. Even medical doctors, they miss steps when they have to do something. So I have a checklist for things like when I'm about to travel, I already put together a checklist. So I go in and look through my checklist to make sure that everything is checked off so that I can travel. Or if you're going to write an exam, maybe the ACT or SAT exam, it's good to have a checklist for exams as well. Did you take your calculator, right? Is this calculator allowed in this exam? So I encourage you, even though we didn't talk about this, to have a concept of checklist for the things that you do. So the whole system rests on organizing yourself. And one of the key things is the weekly work review. Then the last thing we'll talk about is the daily review. So weekly review, you look at your key goals for the week, right? Then you need to have a daily review as well. Daily review. All these things, the weekly review doesn't take you more than 30 minutes to do. Okay? The daily review doesn't take you more than 10 minutes to do if you do it every day. So, one day before, write down all the things you want to do the next day. So, write down goals for the next day. Don't do it the day off, write it the day before. It's going to change the next day. But write it the day before, right? And the next day, review your goals list because things might have changed the next day. Review your goals list. Okay? Then, in the evening, that's at the end of the day, right? Check your task completions, right? So basically, at the end of the day, you want to check the things that you completed and the things that you didn't complete. And if you have to put them to the next day, then you do that. You get that? And also just reflect on what you could have done differently. Reflect on what you could have done differently. I find this important because if on a particular day you spend too much time playing, I don't know why I say video games, playing soccer, for example, maybe that's why you didn't complete your work. Or maybe you overpromised, that's why you didn't complete your work. You need to be honest with yourself, why wasn't your work completed? Or maybe you are overcommitted, you're doing too many things at the same time. That's why you didn't complete your work. But the idea of the reflection is not to feel guilty for anything. Because students have a way of beating themselves up. Even adults do. So, if you beat yourself up, it's not going to change anything. The things that you didn't do didn't happen. So, feeling bad solve anything. So one of the things that science has discovered is that getting upset with yourself is not the way to change anything that you do that you don't want to do. You need to come to a point where you accept that what I'm doing is not working. What can I do different? But if you feel guilty and bad, you're just as likely to repeat the same bad habits before. You understand? So our friend Miggy, the amygdala monkey, he doesn't believe in logic. He does what he does. So beating yourself up is not going to help you, right? Just reflect and say, okay, I didn't do this because X, Y, Z. Next time I'll try and do it better. Is that okay? So do a weekly review. This daily review, 10-15 minutes, you should be done with it every day. And it's not a waste of your time. Any questions on any of this that we've talked about? And of course, have it in your calendar, because if you don't, you may not do it. There's something that the system also talks about. You don't, unless something has to be done at a specific time, just put it in your daily calendar. Don't necessarily put a time attached to it. Just say, I'm doing it today. It doesn't have to be time specific, unless there's an energy component to it, where you must do it when you have the most energy, right? In that case, I'm an evening person, I'll put it in the evening. But do it in the same day. Any questions before we wrap up? Because I want to quickly take you through what works for me and maybe to work for you, and you can share with me what could work for you as well. Tiger, any questions for me on this? Ed? Parents?
I feel the review part is often missed. Planning everything is pretty, like I feel I did most of the part. But the review, especially the small items like the family stuff, laundry every day, the very distracting you from the main tasks.
Yeah.
And after doing all of that, you don't feel have enough time for these, or forget, or too many little things to track.
Yeah.
It's difficult if you have tools to recommend how to track.
Okay, so tools. That's a good question. I have done different tools. I use this tool called Todoist. It's a very easy one to use, and I've used it a lot. I've also used another one called Things3, right? There's actually Google Docs are really good at organizing. People don't. There's something now called Google Keep. It's free. Google Keep is a good organization tool as well. These have free versions, but it's more powerful with the paid version. So Todoist is my favorite. Things3 is really elegant, it works well. Then there's Trello, which is good as well. Then there's Wunderlist, which is good as well. All these things do similar things, right? The key thing to time management is not the tool, it's knowing when you have energy and when you don't have energy, knowing how to do things in the right context, right? And also there's a concept in procrastination called pre-commitment. If you do something at the same time every day, you are likely to do it. So let's say you really don't like to exercise. The way to get yourself to exercise is you know that at 12 p.m. every day, what do? I exercise. No excuses. If you did that, because you've already pre-committed, you would do it. Or you say as a student, every day at 7 p.m., I need to do my homework. No excuses, right? When you have a pre-commitment like that, you are likely to do it. And the way that would work is if you have somebody to hold you accountable. See, students, it's not good to have your parents to hold you accountable. It's better to have your friend to hold you accountable. Because you would do it if it's your friend. If it's your parent, you would think that they're too harsh. That's just how life works. It's very strange. Like your parents know a lot more than your friends, but you listen more to your friends than your parents. It's just how it works. I'm not making a judgment on it. I'm just saying that is what it is. And then in 10 years, you'll be like, I wish I had listened more to my parents. So So even though I'm telling you this from my own experience, you wouldn't believe me, right? It just feels easier to listen to your parents and to your friends. But the fact is, in 10 years, you realize your parents knew better all along. But whatever be the case, ask your friend to check to make sure that you're doing what you said you would do. There's a story of Odysseus in Greek mythology. Odysseus is the famous guy who took a horse and gave it as a gift, but he hid his soldiers inside the horse because they couldn't overcome the walls to get into the enemy camp. So he gave them a horse, but it was a Trojan horse, they were hidden things. So Odysseus, when he was on one of his conquests, was told that the city that he was going to by ship, they had the most amazing people there with the best singing, that if you heard them sing, you don't want to eat, you don't want to do anything, you stay in the island and you will die in the island because the singing is so tempting. So he used a pre-commitment strategy. He did two things. One of them is he made them put wax in his ear so he could not hear the magical singing. And the second thing he did was he made them tie him to the ship. So no matter, even if he heard the music, he could not go to the music, right? So a pre-commitment strategy is one of the ways to accomplish your goals. Have a bet with somebody that every time you fail to do your work, there's a consequence to it, right? Or even with yourself. If I don't finish my homework by 8 p.m. tonight, I'm not playing Fortnite, for example. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you have a pre-commitment strategy, then you plan ahead of time. These are the consequences if I do this. These are the rewards if I do this. And then you'll be able to do it. Because there are people who know, okay, so you've heard of George Orwell, right? The famous writer. Yeah, George Orwell has written some of the most powerful books in the world. But if you know the kind of struggles he went through to write his books, you wouldn't believe it. He didn't enjoy writing at all. Then there's a famous book called Moby Dick. You've heard of that? So the author would make his wife chain him to his desk from the morning to noon so that he would write. That's a pre-commitment strategy. And he wrote that's a really famous book, right? Like, if you don't know the story behind what people have done, you think some people have all the motivation and you don't. But they just have the right strategy in place that works for them. Do you understand? So I want to encourage you, in addition to all these, the tools don't make a difference. What makes a difference is, first of all, organizing yourself. And secondly, have a pre-commitment strategy in place. It's very important to know, I do this at this time, and no matter what happens, I have to do it. Right? Any final questions on any of that? I can send you the PDF of these things if you want. I have some things that I did not have printed for you. Actually, this thing is better it's better in color, I think. What else? There was something else I wanted to share, but I didn't have it. And any recommendations that I can send to you on these systems as well, I will. So, what are your emails so I can send you the information? Yeah, Ed.
edwardneo@gmail.com.
D-N-I-O?
N-E-O.
Like this?
E-O.
Oh, E?
No, N-E-O.
Oh!
Yeah.
N-E-O.
Yeah.
Like the Matrix?
Yeah.
Okay. At gmail.com, alright? And then Tiger?
I guess this works for both of us.
Okay.
I'll just spell it out.
Yeah.
SHEENRONCHE.
At Gmail?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much for taking the time to come today. I'll send you some more materials on this system that you can print out and do your daily work on. And if there's anything else, my email is my name, which is, you can email me to ask me about anything on this system. Mahama@gmail.com. Okay. 谢谢。 And have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you for spending time here on a Sunday.
So I'm gonna ask one question.
Yes.
So if my list is 100, I has 100 items on it. If I do a weekly review, isn't it very long and time consuming?
The first time you do it is going to be time consuming, but over time it's not. So if you did a mind sweep every day, the first day you have 100 things, the next day you have 120, the next day you are coming down and down and down. At the beginning it's time consuming, yes. But if you did it regularly, it would no longer be time consuming. It would stop being time consuming. Because look, you do the same things every week for the most part, right? So the first time you do a mind sweep, you're going to have way too many things and you're not going to finish it. The next time you do it, you're like, oh, it's the same list. That's why electronic is good, right? Just take it and copy it over. And the next time you do it, you're like, okay, I'm going to put it in these contexts. When I'm at home, these are the things I'm doing. When I'm at the grocery store, these are the things I'm doing. When I am at work, these are the things I'm doing. Then everything is in the right context. And then you get to a point where you get comfortable with, if you're a morning person, for example, these are the things I want to do in the morning. If I don't do my exercise in the morning, I know I'm going to do it. Then you put it in the morning. So after 2 weeks, everything will be normal. By the beginning, it's going to be more painful than what you currently do. I know that from experience. When I started, I was like, another thing that they ask us, well, that I do that works for me is, I have in my kitchen a notepad. I have in my bedroom a notepad. I have in my desk a notepad. So every idea that I get, if I'm in the kitchen, I write it down. Actually, I have one in the restroom as well. If I'm in the restroom, I write it down. And then, as part of my weekly review, I collect all my papers, and then I compile them into a list. Because what that does is that there's never anything in my head. Everything is out of my head. Right? So that's another thing that you're encouraged to do, is to have something everywhere, because ideas, they come and they go away. I don't know if it's happened to you before. It can come and then you forget about it for 2 weeks. So you want to write it down the moment you get it. That's why it's good to have capture materials everywhere in your house, right? Or some kind of system that works for you, right? The key thing is you would procrastinate less if you don't keep so many things in your head. Because you are not going to feel overwhelmed. Even as a professional, I find that useful as well. We're just trying to let young people develop that habit early, right? So try it and let me know how it goes. Yeah, at the beginning it's going to be painful, but I think within a few weeks you'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I'm feeling some of the things may not need a weekly review, some of the things may need more frequent reviews at this moment.
Like daily review.
Right.
Yeah.
If somehow I can figure out which ones actually needed to review, some of the things maybe I don't even need that frequent review.
Yeah. So that's why we didn't talk about this. You want to create a someday list, someday maybe. If you put anything in someday maybe, you can look at it once a month. So you can have like a folder, call it someday maybe. Maybe you want to travel somewhere in 2021. You don't have to look at it every week, right?
Right.
So you can have a someday maybe list. Right? Maybe you want to do something with your family, but not right away. You can create that kind of a list as well, so that you don't. Otherwise, you're right. You will always be checking the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Yeah. So that's another folder that you can have someday maybe. Like if I have my to-doist here, and there's the red. This is the symbol with 3 signs. I have my different folders. Look, it has today, right? Next 7 days, next actions, then assigned to me, things that people have assigned to me to do. Then I have due this week, that's what I'm doing this week. Then I have projects, clean my kitchen. I have something called waiting for, something called family, something called reference. Reference are things that I don't have to look at all the time. Then I have a list called someday maybe. I don't even have to look at that. Someday maybe I have go to the flea market. I mean, who cares, right? Become a billionaire, like who knows, right? Read some books. So I don't have them in my calendar. I guess there. So every time that I'm getting a little bit bored, I can go back to my someday maybe and have some interesting things there, right? Like fix curtains in the bedroom. Like it doesn't matter if I do them or not, right? And then add colleagues from LinkedIn. So something maybe is there that when I'm free, I can go and look at it. So that's how the to-do-list looks like. Today, next 7 days, next actions, projects is very useful.
What tool is this?
This is the one, the TODOIST, to-do-ist. Yeah.
Okay.
I have another one called Things. Some people prefer Things, but I like to do it better. Things is also good. That one has a check mark on it. Okay, I won't update it. What does it look like? So it's got the same thing. Today, upcoming, anytime, someday. Yeah. So that's good too. Yeah. So they do the same thing. Alright? You can use that. I also use Google Keep sometimes, but to-do-ist is the main one. For me anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very nice to meet you, sir. Ed, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Tiger, you have a powerful name. You must be a powerful guy. Do you play sports?
Oh, yes.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, thank you.
So one last question.
Yeah.
How do you handle like things that kind of unplanned? So you have this big conflict. I said
Yes.
every 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. or 7 to 9 I'm going to do this, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly the same day the teacher assigned us one big assignment.
Yes. Sometimes you can't do anything about it.
Right.
Sometimes you have to do what you know you must do.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So you will get the daily review, but then, I didn't do any of this. because
Yes,
of
it
that.
can happen. Yes. But the more you become an adult, the easier you have time to control, right? But if you're in college, sometimes they give you work and you have no choice but to do it.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect question because the students don't always have,
You have to keep
All the
this
time.
relationship.
All the time.
yeah, they don't have all the flexibility. Sometimes teachers are crazy.
Yeah. Well, even for us at that work, you would go to the office and then you realize in your email there's like people
Yeah,
are looking for you to do something.
that is true. So there's a system also that says that don't check your email till 11 a.m.
And then you get phone calls. I agree with you all.
Yeah, but if they know that that's the kind of person you are, they give you space. They know Sam doesn't check his email till 11. So it's only those who really want something from you who will call you.
It's even harder now. We have smartphones.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we check that all the time.
So they say also, if you check your phone in the middle of work, to go back to the work you're doing, you lose 15 minutes of time.
Yeah.
Every time you check.
Because like switching, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's important to also keep it off. So for me, like the first 3 hours of the day, I don't have my phone on, I don't have my email on. I do everything, and the rest of the day, I'm like, okay, you know. But it depends on your situation, right? If you're a manager and people want to reach you, you can't do that.
Yeah. Especially you have to like people in Asia and all that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So everyone is different.
But I think this session with kids and parents, I think is helpful because at their age they're very busy.
Yeah.
They're quite multi-threaded, and we try to help them. But when we are both in this class, I think will help us communicate. We can use some of the tools and plan together. Otherwise, we just keep yelling at them.
I get it, and it's because you care. I mean, sometimes I tell my students, look, the parents are not yelling at you because they want to yell at you. They are trying to help you.
Right.
Right? So that's the way it works. And parents, what I say to you is, the kids, they are wiser than you think they are. So it's good to give them some space to make the decisions for themselves too.
That's right.
So it works both ways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mahama.
Thank you, sir.
This is some of the best session.